All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Super Bowl 59 through NFL alumni. I'm Bram Weinstein, presented by Passera, Better as Possible. This is the great Mike Barber. How are you?
Thank
Good to see you.
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Honored to be with you.
Yeah? What
Yeah.
do you make of the Super Bowl these days? You played back in, what, the 1970s?
I
into the early
played when they
80s?
didn't pay. That's when I played. I was the first pick in 76.
Yeah.
I was the only pick in the first 3 rounds, and my first year's salary was $35,000.
That's a lot of money back then.
I went home and slapped my mother for having me 10 years early, you understand? Yeah. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
I'd play it again for the same amount of money. What an awesome game, atmosphere.
When you watch the draft now and see the pomp and circumstance of the hoopla,
Yeah.
what was you're the number one pick. What was the draft day experience for you?
There might have been 10 people in the room, maybe. And 2 or 3 of them were asleep. That's about how big the event was, but I didn't know any better, and
Yeah.
it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, let's just do it. So, you know, today it's just it's how do you get any bigger? Which it will,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. The excitement of the game. It's a business
Yeah.
now, as we know, and we used to sit around, and I was with the Rams for 4 years, and I was 86, and so they did us by numbers, and so Jack Youngblood was right here beside me, and we would talk all the time about what a joy it would be to have free agency. And of course, never in a million years. And now look at it today,
Yeah.
and it's all about business, you know.
When you look around and you see the size and the scope of all of this, what do you think? Having played at a time where the NFL was big, but not like this.
No, I don't think any of us, if we're honest, back then, couldn't even vision the where it is today. You know, we had a true off season. They don't have an off season. You know, half of our team last game left town, and you didn't see them again until the first day of 2-a-days.
Yeah.
Whereas now you have mini camps and et cetera, and it's just all business. And of course, the salaries, the monies that everybody makes. And I understand that, and I get that, but man, what a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the modern NFL because you played with 2 of the great running backs, Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson.
That's
Eric
right.
Dickerson's name obviously came up this year because his single season record was threatened by Saquon Barkley.
Right.
What do you make of the modern NFL, the running game, and having played with greats?
Yeah,
who
yeah.
have kind of reemerged?
7 of my 10 years, I blocked for the #1 running back in the league. And you just said Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson. And of course, back then we didn't have any of the spread. Nobody did. San Diego did just a little bit. Kind of invented it, in my opinion, in the NFL. But we were all pretty much a 2-back offense, tight end in its normal position, and we're going to run the football. And we're going to do play action. And but today, it's mostly 1-back backfield, and your running backs have to have good hands. You know, to be honest with you, Earl Campbell didn't have good hands.
Huh.
He couldn't catch the flare out of the backfield real. Every time we threw it to him, we'd all go, you know. And when he caught it, you know, Dickerson had great hands. He had as good as hands as anybody on the team, and you could do anything with him. Hand off, pass it to him, louder, whatever, and he could take care of business.
You didn't need to throw the ball to Earl Campbell. We need to throw him the ball for. He's fine on his own, just handed it.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, of course, having Bum as our coach with Earl Campbell, and you know, he said something, what if it's 4th and a mile? And he said, well, we'll take him out of the game. He can't go that far, you know. but it was a great time, though. We did everything together, and I think the teams now probably do that. So I interviewed a lot of the athletes last night, both teams, and just about everybody talked about family atmosphere. And my coach, Bum Phillips, he pretty much said the exact same thing the 6 years I was with him. The very first day of practice, he'd say, okay, today we're a team, but I expect us to be a family within a week. and we all related to that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. But I was so impressed with both teams talking about their teammates. And of course, that's what it takes to be a true winner and maintain.
It seems this is carried over for you, this idea of family, bond,
Exactly.
brotherhood. You work in ministry now, right?
Yes.
And you want to tell everybody what you're doing?
I do. I retired, and this is my 40th year of full-time prison ministry. Toward the end of my career, I had a friend invite me to go into prison, and I didn't want to go, and I turned him down actually for about a year and a half. And finally, I gave up, knowing he wasn't going to give up asking me. And I went in, and it completely changed me, and that they all looked like my neighbors. And look at them. And I had studied to be an NFL coach, but I started my last 6 years of my years in the NFL. I spent my off seasons going into prisons, and I like to go into the worst part of the prison and build hope. And because it doesn't matter who you are, if you change your thinking, you can change your mind. And probably 90+% of all the 2.3 million that's in prison today would never hurt you. And they might rob from you, but they would not physically hurt you. And so that, for me, it tells me they're good people. They just got to change their thinking. And, just here an hour or so away is the largest max security prison in the world, Angola. It has about 6,000, and probably 94, without any exaggeration, 94%. Here in Louisiana, life is life. You don't get out unless you have a miracle. 94% of that population will die in prison. And it's like more than 70% of that population that never received a visit. So I spent 3 days there before coming here and just walking around. I've been going there for years and years and years. I know so many of them. And every one of these guys committed horrendous crime. They all hugged my neck. Their language is clean. They're not mother effing this and mother and Janet, They're so respectful. And I show them love, I show them respect, I show them I believe in them. And when you do that, I just feel like you can turn that person's world around. And I could sit here for 2 hours and give you one testimony of a horrendous individual that completely turned their life around just by simply changing their thinking and making them realize, you're not a piece of junk. You're not. I don't care how bad it is. And of course, my heart goes out to the family that, suffered the loss. And I understand completely their anger and their bitterness. But at the same time, it's about God's love, to be honest with you. And so I wouldn't trade places with, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I wouldn't trade places with anybody. There's such value. When you've been doing it as long as I have literally thousands of inmates that are now out. I just got a guy, I didn't get him out, but a guy, he was considered the most violent guy in the state of Texas, went in with a 10-year sentence and was given 6 life sentences for killing people on the inside. And it was my day, and I went to his cell, totally away from the other population, sat down in a chair and told him some jokes and laughed and cut up with him. And then I said, I'm really here. And he goes, yeah. And I said, can we start? So I started telling him about the love of God, how he forgives, and not only that, he forgets, which is a pretty cool package. And never, ever to get out. So I told him, if your salvation is real, miracles can happen. I'm not saying you will. And that was about his 5th year in prison. And he got his release here about 3 months ago after 48 years in prison. And he's just a complete different guy. And I love doing that, to help get somebody back on their feet. That's what I do today.
Mike, I appreciate all the work you're doing. And thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you.